You ever feel like you're just stuck? You try to make a big change in your life, you push and you push, but somehow you always end up right back where you started. It's frustrating, right? Well, today, we're going to look at the cybernetic blueprint of your mind. It's this really powerful way of understanding why that happens, and more importantly, how you can actually reprogram the very system that's been holding you back. So, let's jump in. So let's just get right to it with the big question we've all asked ourselves at some point. Why is personal change so hard? I mean, really hard. You decide, okay, this is it, I'm going to be more confident, or I'm finally getting productive, or this is the year I get healthy. And you use all your willpower, you muscle through it, and for a little while, it kind of works. But then, what happens? Almost like clockwork, you find yourself sliding right back into those old habits.
Well, here's the thing. The reason it feels like such an uphill battle is because you've been fighting the wrong enemy. It's like you're in the cockpit of an airplane, wrestling with the controls, trying to manually steer it. But the real issue isn't your steering. It's the destination that's already plugged into the flight computer. You're not fighting the pilot. You're fighting the autopilot. You're fighting the flight plan itself.
Okay, so what exactly is this internal flight plan? Just think of it like this. It's a pre-programmed system that's always running in the background. It's this autopilot that's constantly, and I mean constantly, correcting your course and overriding your best efforts to change.
And this flight plan, this core programming, that's what we call your self-image. It's your internal mental blueprint of who you believe you are. It's been built piece by piece from all your past experiences, your successes, your failures, and all the beliefs you've picked up along the way. And here's the kicker. Your brain will do everything in its power to make sure your actions line up with that picture. And this really frames that internal struggle perfectly, doesn't it? Your willpower, that conscious effort, that's you, the pilot. You're in the seat, hands on the yoke, trying with everything you've got to steer the plane toward this new, amazing destination. But your self-image, that's the flight plan. That's the autopilot, and it's already been programmed to go somewhere else. So yeah, the pilot can fight it for a little while, but the system is literally designed to take over and correct the course. No wonder it feels like a constant, exhausting battle.
All right, so if your self-image is the flight plan, the destination, then what's actually flying the plane? What's the engine behind all of this? Well, it turns out our brains have this incredibly powerful internal guidance system that just automatically carries out the instructions. We don't even have to think about it. This engine is called the success mechanism. It's a goal-striving system deep in your subconscious, and it works kind of like a self-guided missile. Seriously, you give it a target, and this is important whether you do it consciously or not, and it just works. It automatically calculates the course and steers you right toward it. It is the autopilot we've been talking about.
But here's where it gets a little scary, because this system is a total double-edged sword. On one hand, it's automatic, it's working for you 24/7, even when you're sleeping. On the other hand, it's completely impersonal. It does not care if the goal you've given it is good or bad. It just executes. And this is the part you really need to get. If your self-image is built around failure or limitation, this amazing success mechanism literally becomes a failure mechanism. It will guide you to a negative outcome just as precisely and efficiently as it would a positive one.
Okay, so we've got this pre-programmed autopilot flying our plane. That might sound a little bleak, but it's not, because now we get to the most important question. How do we get into the cockpit and change the destination? How do we reprogram the whole flight plan? This is where we get practical. It really boils down to two main tools you can use to input new coordinates into that flight computer. The first one is vivid imagination, or what you might have heard athletes call mental rehearsal, and the second is rational thinking. This is all about consciously taking a look at those old beliefs that created the negative flight plan in the first place and, well, challenging them. Now, this next part is the absolute key to understanding why imagination is so incredibly powerful. It's this quote right here. Listen closely. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Let me say that again. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between an experience you imagine vividly and one that actually happens. Just think about what that means for a second. It's wild.
What this gives us is basically a biological loophole, a hack that you can totally use to your advantage. When you vividly, and I mean vividly, imagine yourself succeeding, absolutely nailing that presentation, being cool and confident on that date, staying calm when things get crazy, you are literally creating new memories of success in your brain. You're tricking your own nervous system into updating its blueprint of who you are. So that second tool is something the source material calls dehypnotization, and it's a cool way to think about it. See, so many of our limits are based on old beliefs that we've just accepted as true. We've kind of hypnotized ourselves into believing things like, oh, I'm just not a people person, or I'm terrible with money. Dehypnotization is the process of using cold, hard facts and reason to wake yourself up, to break that spell. You actively look for real-world evidence that proves those old limiting beliefs are just plain wrong.
Now here's where things get a little counterintuitive. There's a big paradox we need to talk about. Most of us are taught our whole lives that to get what we want, we have to strain and grit our teeth and just try harder, right? Well, when it comes to working with this internal guidance system, that is the absolute worst thing you can do.
Think about it like this. On one side, you've got all that tension and straining. That's the pilot fighting the controls again. All that effort creates a ton of mental noise. It's like static, and it basically jams the signal to your guidance system. It just makes things worse. But on the other side, you have relaxation and flow. That's the state where you actually trust the autopilot to do its job, and it allows for the smooth, effortless peak performance.
And this is so important to understand. Being calm is not the same as being lazy or passive. Not at all. Calm is actually the optimal operating condition for your success mechanism to do its best work. When you're relaxed, your mind gets clear, creative ideas just seem to pop up out of nowhere, and your body can perform at its absolute best without you, your conscious worrying mind, getting in the way and messing things up. Okay, let's bring this all in for a landing. We've talked about the flight plan and the autopilot. Once you've used your imagination and your rational mind to set a new destination, there's one final step. And it's kind of the hardest and also the easiest part of the whole process. You have to let go and trust the system to take you there.
And what's the result of all this? It's simple, but it's powerful. The flight plan is updated. The autopilot is now engaged. The very same automatic system that used to drag you back to your old ways is now working for you, not against you. It's the thing that's now guiding you automatically and pretty much effortlessly to where you actually want to go.
So let's just quickly recap the whole journey here. Your self-image, that's your flight plan. Your brain, it's got a powerful autopilot that will always fly to that destination. And how do you take control? Not by fighting it. You take control by reprogramming the destination itself, using your vivid imagination and your rational mind.
And all of this leaves us with one last and I think pretty exciting question. You see, you're not just the pilot trying to steer the plane. You're the programmer. You have full access to the flight computer. You can set any destination you can possibly imagine. So the only question left is, where are you going to go?